Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. And this is Bobo. Bobo, the baby bark boy. Say hello, Bo. Tell other people that you're here. Whoa. He wants his toy. It's right here. Very adorable. He chews on it and then falls asleep. Rawr, rawr. Okay. Anyway, Bobo is here, riding shotgun with me tonight. He may be barking, he may not. But he's probably just going to doze off. He's going to sit right over here on the back of the couch, chew on that little dinosaur and fall asleep. Is chat not functioning tonight? I don't know. Did I turn it off by accident? It does sound like something I would do. Yeah. Might be gone. Chat gone, question mark?
Chat gone?
No, there it is. How did it move like that? Well, that's so weird. So hi, how are you? I'm doing good, thanks. I don't know why chat is so way up there. It won't. Where is it? That. Alerts. Combo chat. That's where it is. Okay. Unlock it. We're going to bring it down. How did it get all the way up there? I don't remember doing that. There we go. Okay. That looks a bit better. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. So, that crisis averted. We can start talking about the news. Oh, yeah. That's what I do here. If you're in chat, hop in, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. If you're in the Twitch chat, the lovely robot lady will read it out loud. If you're in YouTube chat, she won't, but I will still see it. And it'll still appear on the screen. And it'll be fun. See, there's YouTube chat. It just takes a little longer. And that's okay. I still like you. You're still my friend. There it is. Amazing. So, yeah, let's look at the news, because that's what I do. I look at the politics. I look at the stuff. Some days, especially on like Wednesdays, I'm a little worried that I won't have enough to talk about. I won't have enough clips linked together to put together. Not today. We have so much to talk about tonight. So many amazing clips of PM Bondi crashing out. And just a bunch of little silly things, and lots of stuff is happening all over the country, and it's just fun to talk about. We'll talk about any of it. If you want to tell me what to talk about, hop to chat or go on over to the Discord to tell me what we should talk about. So you can go on over there and leave links. I'll bring them up on screen if they're cool. But Discord is even in the news too, because it's maybe changing. I don't know what I'm going to do with Discord. It's not like I have a billion people there. But if we do go on to something that isn't Discord, I'll let you know if I don't want to use Discord anymore because of their recent crazy changes to age verification and all that crap. Pain in the butt. So let's see. Well, you know what? I do have one silly thing to start off with. Let's do something silly and funny to begin with. Let's start off with a silly one. I always like to start off with something silly. Here is Jesse Waters, my favorite dummy. Let's hear what he has to say.
Jesse, I was walking rookie today in my neighborhood, on my street.
On a leash?
Yeah, and this...
Is that your boyfriend?
This car comes throttling down, and he looks me right in the eye. He was already angry. And he sees me, and I give him a wave, because he was a neighbor, I thought. And all of a sudden, he passes me, screeches on the brakes, rolls down the window, and says, "F you, fascist!"
Whoa, really?
Really? Is that real?
In my neighborhood.
Oh my
For real?
gosh.
I swear to God, this happened this afternoon, and I'm thinking to myself, like, he doesn't know I'm a fascist.
Yes, he does. You're on TV.
Do I come across as a
Yes.
fascist?
Yes. Yes. Do I come across as a fascist, he says. And the answer, Jesse, is yes. Yes, you do. You are. And the guy, and I do like that question he asked. He asked, how does he know I'm a fascist? Wait, that's a weird phrase. That's a weird phrasing, right? Be like, I'm not a fascist is what he should say. I'm not a fascist is what you would expect him to say. But he says, how does this guy know? How does he know? He wasn't at the meeting. He wasn't at the secret fascist meeting, was he? I would have remembered seeing this guy at the secret fascist meeting. So he says, how does he know?
Do I come across as a
Yes.
fascist?
No.
I'm thinking to myself, like, he doesn't know I'm a fascist.
He doesn't know. Yes, we do, Jesse. We do know. We do know. We know. It's obvious from the words you've said and the positions you push and the people you vote for and the people you bring onto your show and let them lie. You are a fascist. At very best, you feel like you're not, but you give a platform to all of them and agree with them and do what they tell you to and take their money. So at very best, you're a collaborator. I saw that night. It made me happy. I am glad that they have the lady there. She is.
Yes, he does. You're on TV.
Do I come?
This lady is great, and Jessica, she is fantastic, and she usually is keeping it real there. But as usual, they keep her around as a token liberal and that kind of thing. So they don't really listen to her, and everybody's there just to pick on her and hate on her over Fox News. So yeah, that was I saw that, and it made me smile. Made me happy. So yeah, that was a fun little thing to start with. Oh, here we go. Bad news. House passes the Save America Act, sending Trump-backed election bill to the Senate. Where it's probably going to fail, I really hope it does. Because the legislation would overhaul federal election laws in all 50 states by imposing new voter ID and proof of citizenship requirements, but faces a daunting path in the Senate. So this is the voter registration bill that will kick millions of people off. They won't be able to vote anymore. Americans, properly registered Americans, will be kicked off. People will have a harder time. There will be more hurdles in between the American public and their right to vote, because Republicans don't like you. They don't like Americans. They really dislike most Americans, and so they don't want those Americans to vote. Let's read about it. Washington, the Republican-controlled House voted Wednesday to pass the Save America Act, a sweeping election bill that President Donald Trump is pushing Congress to enact. The vote was 218 to 213, with Republicans unanimously voting in favor, all but one Democrat voting against. So one fucking Democrat, Henry Cuellar, again, as usual, the Dems could have stopped this. The Democrats could have stopped this. You need 218, I think. But Henry Cuellar gave him the 218th vote because they don't like you either. The Dems aren't that much better. They're only slightly better than the Republicans, honestly. The Republicans hate you and hate most Americans. The Democrats dislike you and dislike most of Americans. It's not quite as fervent. It's not as hard. It's not as hateful for the Dems. They don't want good things for you. They don't want to do their jobs. They don't want to represent you. Yuck. They want to make money. And they want to be paid for making money. And they want to make more money so that they can make more money, so that they can be paid to make more money. It's a very complicated system. But Henry Cuellar needs this to pass so that he can run against it, so that all the Dems can run against it, so everybody can tell you that it's a bad idea, because he doesn't like you that much either. Henry Cuellar does not want you to vote. He is not there to represent you. He is there to represent his actual constituency, which is investors, which is the people who pay him to run every year. That's who he's there to work with. The bill, which was revised from an earlier version to include new demands from Trump, also requires voters to show photo identification in order to cast a ballot in person. And it slaps new rules for mail-in ballots, requiring voters to submit a copy of an eligible ID when requesting and casting an absentee ballot. So more hurdles. If you show up without this proper thing, if they don't accept the thing that you have, you get turned away. If you don't send this in perfectly or properly, or you got a bad photocopy or you forget, they deny you. More hurdles, because they don't want you to vote. It's common sense. America needs an ID to drive, to open a bank account, to buy cold medicine, to file government assistance, says Pastor Mike Johnson. So why would voting be any different than that? Mike, listen. voting is a right. Driving's not. Buying cold medicine is not a right. You do not have the right to government assistance within the Constitution. You do have a right to vote, which is why you try not to put any hurdles in between the people and their rights. The conservatives, the Republicans, are literally hampering your rights with this bill. They are. They're hamstringing your rights. They are separating you from your constitutional rights. They are. And they will tell you that they are the Freedom Party. They'll call it freedom. You have fewer rights. You have a farther gap in between you and your rights. And the conservatives will look you in the face and tell you, that's freedom, baby. That's freedom. They love it because they don't know what that word means. Democrats say this legislation is designed to disenfranchise Americans because it is, noting that the voting by non-citizens is already illegal and very rare. Nearly unheard of. Not very rare. Again, NBC is soft peddling this shit. Damn near non-existent. It's so unrealistic that no one can ever find it when they go looking for it. Current law requires voters to attest to their citizenship under oath with criminal penalties for violators. This is a desperate effort by Republicans to distract. Hakeem Jeffries. God, Hakeem Jeffries. Okay. We're going to talk about distractions later because I have a whole rant about it. But Hakeem Jeffries, why did you let Cuellar vote for this? You're in charge of the House and the votes, and you could go to him and tell him you're off your committees, you're not getting DNC funding, you are done if you vote for this. And he wouldn't have done it. Hakeem Jeffries likes to have an enemy that he can campaign against. And that's the problem sometimes with political maneuvering the Dems do. They need an enemy to rail against. And Donald Trump has so many things that you can be upset about. You don't need to give him any more. He's giving the bad team a win so that he can rally against it. They've already got a lot of wins, Hakeem. They're already getting a lot of fucking wins. Don't give them another one just so you can fight against it. It's insane. It doesn't make any damn sense. Jeffries and the other Democrats note that the GOP bill comes in the wake of Trump saying he wants to nationalize elections. Again, a bad idea. Take over the voting in at least 15 places. That runs afoul of the Constitution, which gives states the authority over times, places, and manners of holding elections for federal office. Democrats also know the FBI has seized ballots and voter records from Fulton County, Georgia, as Trump continues to make false claims that he won the 2020 election. The man cannot be trusted to tell you who won in the past. We know who won in the past. We counted them. We double-checked. They were counted properly. They were brought up to a court of law, and the judges looked at it and said, Donnie, you lost. All of the court cases, 30-something court cases that he brought up, maybe even more, maybe it was 60, I forget, all got thrown out because they were built on horse shit. They did not have evidence to back up their claims, so they were thrown out. That's how court works. Court is not Twitter, okay? You don't just say whatever you want and then demand somebody prove you're wrong, and everybody who does, you just ignore. It's not an argument it's not a debate between two people who just get their points across. That's not what court is. Court is based on evidence at the moment. Still, for now, within America, most of the courts are still based on evidence. This one was as well, when they measured the ballots and all that fun stuff. So they lost in court because they had no evidence. All the evidence they had was imaginary shit talking from people online and hearsay and conspiracy theories about shit that might have happened somewhere, somehow, some way. And none of it was based on fact. It was all just based on their feelings. he cannot be trusted. Donnie cannot be trusted with votes, with voting equipment, with election matters. You can't trust him. He is untrustworthy. And he has sued more than 20 states for refusing to turn over their files to him. He cannot be trusted. He will lie to you about what those things say. If he gets this information, if he gets it, he will manipulate it. He'll erase things that don't need to be erased and write his name in. He will add his name to thousands of write-ins and then tell you that somebody else cheated. That's what I'm telling you he will do. He will manipulate, he will break, he will lie about those votes if he gets them, which is why the states don't want to give it to him. And they're right to not to deny him. That is exactly what they should be doing, but they're also scared and wieners and afraid to get in trouble. Because he does tend to sue people, as he is doing right here. So he's suing them. I'll see if this has anything interesting to say. The Justice Department's attempts to collect sensitive voter information are part of a plan to interfere with elections, obviously. The Trump administration campaign to undermine future elections is in full swing. One part of the campaign is its bid to sweep up voter rolls across the nation, which began last spring and has now made its way to the courts. Make no mistake about what these actions represent: an attempt to take over the election administration, a role that the Constitution grants to the states, not the federal government. They have demanded full unredacted voter rolls, which would include driver's license, partial social security numbers. Now, what they will do with that is find lies. They will lie to you about these numbers, about these driver's licenses, and they will give you a bunch of horse shit. They will go on Fox News probably and just dox people and tell you this guy signed up for here and here he is again. He's a criminal. And it'll be nonsense. It'll be made up bullshit. At least 44 states and the District of Columbia, most have refused to provide these records and have instead provided publicly available versions for their voter files. Since September, the DOJ has sued 24 of these jurisdictions for refusing to hand over their voter-sensitive information. Courts in California and Oregon have already rejected the DOJ's claims that it is entitled to their unredacted voter files. The Brennan Center is using public reporting to track the DOJ's voter data requests and states' responses. The Trump administration's bid to collect full voter rolls from nearly every state in the nation is unprecedented and cause for concern. States alone have the authority to run the elections, blah, blah, we already knew that. States have the expertise and the tools to keep the voter lists accurate and up to date, and have the procedures in place to ensure that only eligible American citizens are included on the rolls. The federal government has neither the authority nor the resources to conduct list maintenance. And that makes sense. The federal government doesn't have the manpower for this, and they fire people left and right. The government jobs have gone way the fuck down. And Donnie brags about it. He does. He tells you that everything's better in the private sector and government jobs need to be lowered and there needs to be fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer people in the government until the government is just one person, him, telling everybody what to do. So who's going to look at these things? Shut the fuck up. That's who. You need to shut up and stop asking questions. Donnie needs it so that he can manipulate it. He will give it to PM Bondi, who is a gigantic super liar, and may have today, we'll get to it in a few minutes, committed a crime by lying to Congress and spying on them. So she's untrustworthy. She is a liar and a criminal and shouldn't be listened to. So anything she says about in this topic cannot be trusted. She will take that information. She will take all the stuff from the voter rolls and she will break it. She will bend it. She will delete it. She will add to it to make it seem like the Democrats did a crime. She's manufacturing evidence of crimes so that she, the person who prosecutes crimes, can go after the people she doesn't like. She's planting evidence in, I guess, a common term we could use. She's planting evidence. She can't plant that evidence until the states give her the bed in which to plant the evidence, the seed bed to put all her insane bullshit into, which is why they demand having it, so that they can create bullshit, lies, criminal. They can tell you a bunch of lies about what happened in 2020. So this is a weird thing that just popped up, and I didn't get a chance to read all of it, so I don't know how good this is. But meet the cabal-hating special government employee involved in the Fulton County FBI raid. The newly revealed White House employee said he is fighting pure evil. And what he means is people who vote blue. That's what he's fighting against, I suspect. Clay Parrick does not want to talk about who he's working with inside the White House. However, in an extraordinary and extensive conversation with TPM, he has a lot to say about many other things, including his concern that the deep state and the shadowy cabal is influencing our elections. When they say deep state, it's deep and it's everywhere, Parika says in a phone call late Tuesday evening. So we're going to put our head on for this one. It's going to be a good time. Parika, who, according to court documents unsealed this week, is currently a special government employee in the executive branch, is also worried about a myriad other issues, including poisons in the food supply, the COVID vaccine, gay pride displays in churches, and various problems that he describes as the devil's work. This is the guy that's stealing the election material from the states. This guy works for Donald Trump, believes actual nonsense, and is going to cheat at the 2020 election in 2026. That's what's going to happen. This is insane. Parikh was identified as a special government employee and temporary officer or staffer in the executive branch who was appointed up to 130 days in an affidavit filed by the FBI Special Agent Hugh Evans as part of the application for a search warrant that is used to raid the election hub in Fulton County, Georgia, late last month. The raid is part of an election integrity inquiry being led by top Trump administration officials, resulting in the seizure of hundreds of boxes of voting records and prompted widespread alarm for the Democrats amid indications President Donald Trump wants to intervene in upcoming elections. According to Evans, Parikh was one of several people who spoke to investigators and aired concerns when prompted the raid. Specifically, the affidavit said Parikh analyzed tabulator tape images and related documents and concluded data from the devices was manipulated. While various investigations have identified some issues with the 2020 election in Fulton County, experts and officials have repeatedly concluded they did not affect the overall outcome, along with citing concerns about alleged issues with a vote count with some witnesses. The affidavit includes multiple other unnamed witnesses who offer innocuous blank, blah, 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 tabulators. Says nothing. After learning about the affidavit, TPM reached out to him. I have no comment for any of that. However, after initially declining to comment, Parikh proceeded to hold forth for nearly 2 hours. He refuses, because it's an ongoing investigation. He refuses, out of integrity, to discuss stealing the election material from Georgia. But what he will tell you about is all of the rest of the government. During the conversation, he confirmed his status as a special government employee, indicated that he's working with Olson, and aired his thoughts on a variety of issues, including the overarching concern that there's a cabal. The cabal, folks, is the cabal that is placing our society in grave danger. It's just pure evil, Parikh said. The extraordinary discussion was a window into the deep-seated fears and unconventional ideas animating the allies that Trump has apparently brought into his administration. It also showed the blend of religious fervor and paranoia that is driving some of the activists aligned with the president's push to challenge an election infrastructure. The White House spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment, blah, blah, blah. In the FBI affidavit, Parikh initially would not say anything about the who encouraged him to examine the tabulators or whether he was working with Olson. I have no comment on that. Parikh is reluctant to reveal his current association. That's fine. His past links to a prominent election deniers and conspiracy theorists are public. Parikh has worked with the group Focus on America. According to his biography in the organization's site, he is a cybersecurity expert with decades of experience. Parikh told TPM he is also a veteran of the U.S. Marines and former employee of the Aerospace and Defense Company, Northrop Grumman. If anybody's in the fucking deep state, it's a cybersecurity guy who was a Marine and works for Northrop Grumman. Like, that's as deep state as you can fucking get. Get out of here. Parikh has participated in Focus on America events with My Pillow entrepreneur Mike Lindell. He's friends with Mike Lindell, the pillow guy. Ugh, both of whom have promoted thoroughly debunked conspiracy theories about elections. My opinions are my opinions. You're going to try and tie my names to specific people for narrative, not true journalism, right? Yeah, boss, listen, Mr. Perica, if you hang out with the My Pillow guy, it is good journalism to tell everybody that you hung out with the My Pillow guy, okay? Because you're a dipshit. He's a dipshit. It proves your dipshittery. It really does. We already read that. Perica, who said he's very skeptical of any media, went on to outline his view, which is that there are 315,000 ballots that were fabricated. There is no evidence of this so far in Georgia in 2020. Additionally, Perica had questions about the elections of 22 and 24. Oh, buddy, he said, listen, we haven't had an honest election in decades, says the man who works in the White House right now. Given the fact that Perica is now working with the Trump White House, TPM asked if he believes the president's victory in 24 election was a legitimate one. Perica said he believes some of the numbers were screwed with in that race. He went on to suggest the freaking media was eager to generate a false impression that former Vice President Kamala Harris was performing better than she actually was. You spread the narrative and you ran these crazy posts making it look like Harris was close. So guess what? You got to try and pull it off and make it look like the narrative's close, Perica said. But you couldn't do it because then it would be totally bogus. What? That doesn't make any fucking sense, guy. Listen, they can create, he thinks that while Donald Trump was president, Joe Biden, who wasn't the president, created somehow 315,000 fabricated ballots. But when Joe Biden was president, he couldn't come up with that number for Kamala. Joe Biden got way more votes than Kamala. Like, I think Trump even got more votes, like, in the 2020 than he did in 24. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If you measure these things out and you listen to what they say and then lay it all out, it doesn't make sense. But he doesn't know that because he's incapable of having complex thoughts. You spread a narrative. Yeah, we read that. Of course, Trump outperformed polls as he defeated Harris in that race. Perica did not explain how that result supportedly indicated manipulation to support a false narrative of Harris's strength. Yeah, exactly. He just moved on to suggest that they were cheating in local elections without citing any specific examples. So without any evidence, he calls things cheating, and he is now holding lots of actual election material. And he's going to lie to you about it because he is a moron. He is a conspiracy theorist loon who believes rather than understands. He cannot feel, he can't accept the feelings that someone would not vote for Donald Trump. He thinks Donald Trump's great. He feels like Donald Trump is fantastic. And if you don't feel that way, you're an anti-American conspiracy theorist monster. You're some sort of other creature. You're not human even in his eyes. And I know I am projecting some things to him. I know, but I'm telling you what he's thinking. I know, but I've studied the conservative mind. I've studied the conspiracy theorists. I know how they think. I comprehend what they're doing and how. He doesn't think that people who vote Dem are humans. So how can he be surrounded by non-humans? He's not. They cheated. Because he's never been wrong in his life. He's never been wrong. He's never made a mistake. Everybody who ever beat him was cheating. Everybody who beat Donnie was cheating. And it doesn't matter how insane and stupid the explanation is. He doesn't care. I'm on my soapbox. Perica declared at one point in our conversation, you want to talk to me? I'm going to talk. Perica also presented himself as above the beyond partisan and beyond partisan politics, one of those enlightened centrists I love to talk about, even though he's currently working for the Trump administration and has participated in local Republican Party events. For me, I voted Libertarian. I vote for a Libertarian. I vote for a Democrat. I vote for whoever, an enlightened centrist who doesn't know what he's talking about. This is what I'm telling you. The center is incoherent. Quote again, I've viewed it this way. It's the cabal, the oligarchs, whatever you want to call them, the deep state against we, the people. The R's and the D are just manufactured things to cause division, right? Those are my views on it. The oligarchs. What would an oligarch do today? What, just throwing that out there. What would an oligarch, if such a thing was existed, what would they do right now in America? What would they do? They would pay the president to keep their business afloat. They would pay the president bribes so that they could make more money. Does that sound like something you've seen recently? The coal lobby gives Donald Trump all kinds of money. They gave him a trophy today so that he'd be nice to them, and they get to continue making money. Tim Apple went and gave him a gold phone to make him happy, make him feel good. If you want your tariffs off from your Canada or your Mexico, if they want their tariffs removed, all they have to do is go kiss his ass and give him a little bribe, and he'll get rid of your tariffs. That's oligarchy. And it's happening right now in front of our faces. But this guy doesn't see it because he doesn't want to see it. He can't see it. He's got his Republican blind spot on. He can't see the oligarchy that's right in front of him because he's looking for Democrat oligarchy. He's blind to all of the Republican oligarchy because he's staring so hard at all the Democrat oligarchy that isn't there, that isn't real, that doesn't exist. Let's keep going. The ideas of dark forces and corrupt institutions were ones Parikh continually returned to, even though in his present capacity, he's inside the government at its highest levels. That's what I'm saying. He's so fucking backward. When I pointed out that there's a broad consensus among the various claims about the 2020 election in Georgia had been thoroughly debunked, Parikh suggested that was another falsehood perpetrated by the media. Exactly. He's always got another excuse. You're pushing a narrative, and you're about to make me say whatever your freaking media is, and I'm going to lump you in like I do Fox, CNN, NBC, and CBS, and ABC, and all the rest of them, right? Because they're all the same to this guy. The center is incoherent. All those different letters, I say just CIA. Okay, so all of these people work for the CIA? Okay, see how incoherent this guy is? He's in the government. Like, if the CIA runs the media and Donald Trump is the president who runs the CIA, then wouldn't, like, Donald Trump run the media? It doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense anywhere. Of course, it's not just the media that has shot down efforts to cast on doubt on Georgia's 2020 election. A slew of efforts to challenge the results in court have failed. I talked about that a minute ago. All the court cases that failed. For Parikh, this is just evidence of another area where the officials cannot be trusted. They can't be trusted. The judges can't be trusted to measure the facts. The media is just the CIA. The Republicans and the Dems can't be trusted. So who can we trust? Just him? I don't know. He doesn't trust anybody, and he's using his insanity to prove his insanity. It doesn't make any sense. Parikh went on to say that he, as a former Marine, he had taken an oath and commanded soldiers. He believes my country failed on their behalf. Spent 22 years. In the 22 years I spent going all over this freaking world and giving people half the freedoms that we have, and we don't have freedom. It's just an illusion. I've come to the conclusion I have total distrust in it. But he's working for Donald Trump and telling you lies that Donald Trump wants him to repeat. Of course, this brings up the question whether the lack of confidence extends to the Trump administration, which Parikh is currently working for. Parikh didn't answer the question about whether or not he has faith in Trump. If you put your faith in people, you're going to be hurt. The only person I would put my faith in is the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? So I'm not going to comment about anybody else. All I can tell you is that I'm in this fight. You're incoherent, man. You have no idea which way is up. I'm starting to get a little bit emotional. He said after explaining that a military colleague of his had recently passed away, I have to tell you that we were experimented on like, oh, get out. The only thing that's worse than this would have been done to us military personnel, the blacks in this country, is a freaking COVID, freaking scam. They talking about the jab. I know nuclear biology and chemical warfare, so you want to talk about follow the science? We were peddling bullshit, he probably said while weeping. That's when everything kicked off, and then I found myself in federal court out in Arizona. I just feel God put it on me, and I can't rest. I can't be normal, because if I do, I'm shirking my duties, because our country's failing. There's a kid bothering me.
I haven't even done anything.
There's so much stuff that's wrong in it, and the people in D.C. don't care. He is entirely incoherent. None of this makes any sense. Given his position in the government and deep distrust of the system, we also asked Parikh if he believes things will improve. He suggested there are others who share his views working on the inside. Other incoherent people in the Trump government? I do believe that. Here's what I'll tell you. I think there's a group of people, a small group of people, in each one of these areas of the federal government that are fighting hard to get back. But when you say deep state, it's deep and it's everywhere. And that's why it's just extremely hard. Bro, you're describing a deep state, a small group of people that nobody elected in each one of the areas of the federal government fighting to get to their goals is a deep state. He doesn't know what the deep state is, but he's terrified of a deep state. He is the deep state. Nobody elected him to do this. Then he launched into a laundry list of concerns, including digital IDs, of course, because that's a dire threat to all freedom. AI models that you see on the web searches, and chemicals in foods. The digital IDs, like, that's terrifying to him. But forcing people to show their papers to vote, that's fine. That's great. That's just responsibility. Doesn't make any fucking sense, man. If you didn't learn nothing off of this COVID stuff, if you go to a grocery store and they're literally trying to kill us. Parikh also said that he was concerned they're no longer selling real chicken at Cracker Barrel, a restaurant that has become a fixation of conservatives following the rebrand. The food was going downhill before all the woke stuff. That's not a conspiracy, my guy. That's because they're trying to cut corners. They're trying to make more profit off of the same chicken. If they could sell each chicken for $12, it would be good. But if they could sell each chicken for $13, that would be even better. And so they cut corners. And so they give you lesser pieces of meat. They give you the extra bits that they wouldn't have done in the past. Everything has to become more profitable than last year. And the only way to do that is to cut a corner somewhere. Capitalism is running amok, and it's hurting this guy, and he doesn't know it because he's blind. Along with the food, Parikh said that he is concerned about soda and claimed he always mixes it with alcohol to sanitize it. There you go. Bravo, sir. Like, you can't drink the soda. That shit will poison you. So you have to mix in a little bit of alcohol to sanitize it. That is just science, folks. That's science, folks. Listen to me. The soda pop is killing you. It's poisonous. It's filled with forever chemicals that'll give you cancer, and they'll give you brain cancer. It'll give you lung cancer. It'll make your testicles shrink. It will turn you gay. That's what the soda pop is going to do. But what you can do to offset that, throw some alcohol in there, because the alcohol sanitizes it. Boss, giant corporations make soda. Giant corporations make alcohol. He doesn't know, man. Incoherence is the coin of the land. People they've got to wake up, he says. But don't be woke. You should wake up, but don't be woke, okay? This is a trick. This is a common pitfall for people. They want you to be awakened. They want you to wake up. They want you to scrape the scales from your eyes and come out of your deep, deep sleep, but don't be woke. After hearing Parik's long list of grievances, we pressed him once again on who exactly is the cabal in the deep state. He cited the long-running NBC television thriller The Blacklist, which starred James Spader. He watches The Blacklist like it's a goddamn documentary. I discovered The Blacklist, right? I've been watching that, and I'm telling you what, I'm like, that was the documentary done in the future. Bro watches NBC prime time slop TV and thinks it's a goddamn documentary. Incoherence. Parikh then returned to the 2020 presidential election, which he referred to as the Fedsurrection. Fedsurrection. He apparently felt the results were questionable the moment they began coming in, because he wasn't going to accept anything. I knew that night when the numbers froze up, and I'd seen flickers in the numbers. He saw flickers, you guys. As those results were certified on January 6th, Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. All of those rioters who faced criminal penalties were ultimately pardoned or had their sentences commuted by Trump when he returned to the White House. Parikh said the treatment of the January 6th people was something that infuriates him. So he hates that Donald Trump pardoned these people. And he hopes that his current work will help redeem the Capitol rioters and their Stop the Steal movement. Oh, okay. No. The treatment of the January 6th people. He means the, okay. He threw me for a loop there. The Biden government treating the people who rioted and attacked the Capitol as criminals infuriated him, because they were allowed to kick the doors in. They were allowed to break the windows of the Capitol building. They were allowed to go in there and trespass. They were allowed to break the stuff. They were allowed to steal the things. They were allowed to go take all those photos of the paperwork that was in there. They were allowed to crawl in through the windows as the police told them to stop. That's fine. But how dare you try to prosecute the people who did that in this guy's eyes? Incoherent. So fixing elections is what I want to fix our country. Will this help redeem them? I think it should. I think exposing the truth is important, because the truth is that election was stolen. He hasn't seen any evidence, and he already has the outcome. He already knows the end. He is here to investigate, and he already knows the answer. You think that's good investigation procedure? You go in, you say, I know what the answer is, and I'll find all the evidence that points to the conclusion that I already jumped to. He's in the government. He's a high-level official who is going to wreck our country. I have to have faith. Look, I've read the last chapter a couple of times now in my life, right? I've read the last chapter, I assume, of the Bible is what he's talking about. I know how it ends, and I win, along with everybody else that's accepted him. So he is talking about the Bible. I know it's going to get a whole lot worse, but my thing is, if we can keep this country up and get it back to what it used to be for a little bit longer, maybe we can bring more people into the family, right? But we've got to expose the corruption. Any minute now, Swordmouth Jesus is going to come back and wipe out all the unbelievers. But we need to be ready to go right now to shore up and defend ourselves for Armageddon, which is any minute now. Incoherent. Giving his framing of the situation in biblical terms, I try to get the Parikh to define the cabal and ask if he thinks this is demonic in nature. It has to be, he said, of course. It's got to be, And if you're asking me this to try and turn it around and make me out some sort of whack job, that's whatever. No one would ever turn this around on you and make you seem fucking crazy. Of course, it's the devil. Of course, it's the red-skinned goat demon who lives in the center of the earth. Obviously, that's who's running things in the White House, even though Donald Trump is in the White House right now. Except that there are a group of people now that they've gone off and they believe this stuff. Okay, this is direct quoting of a lunatic, so don't yell at me. Controlling things and more power, that's evil. That's the devil's work right there. And so whether they actually bowing down and drinking blood and doing whatever Satanists will do, that's irrelevant. When you do pure evil things that violate God's instructed us to do, you are evil, you are demonic. He described himself as a Baptist, obviously. There are evil elements inside churches. Some of the churches are wrong and they have gay pride stuff in it. That's not a church. It's obviously the devil trying to brainwash people. That's my personal beliefs. The country is failing. Did you ever watch Parks and Rec? How the fuck did we get to Parks and Rec? Okay. He made one last attempt to understand how Parikh feels about working inside the system. Oh, God, he's going to call himself Ron Swanson. Fuck. He thinks he's Ron Swanson. Ron Swanson was a fictional character intended for comedy. He was not a hero. Ron Swanson had said a lot of things, did a lot of silly, fun things, but he was not a role model. You weren't supposed to see him and think, man, that guy's got it under control. No, you were supposed to see him and think he's an incoherent moron. He has a couple of good ideas, but he's gone fucking insane with his neutrality and his centrism. Trump intends to punish anyone who won't help him win it. Steal, yeah, absolutely. And this guy's helping him. This guy is absolutely on his team. Did you ever watch Parks and Rec? Parikh said, Ron Swanson was my hero. He's not supposed to be your hero. Not because he just loved steak and bacon and everything else, but because I was a government contractor. Parikh explained, now I'm temporary with the government, right? Working for the government, but hating them every bit, right? That guy's my hero. That guy,
Hello,
Ron Swanson, was also entirely incoherent. Oh, hi, Bisky. How are you? Thanks for coming in. We're reading about the conspiracy theorist who's in charge of investigating 2020 and is going to overturn the whole thing. And he works for the government right now. It's great. Before finally hanging up, Parikh expressed hope others in the country adopt his perspective. He framed it as an existential struggle, and while he was never clear on exactly what he wants to do with the election infrastructure, Parikh indicated it's a central part of his greater battle. If people aren't awake and aren't observing, they're missing it all. There are more good people here, but we've got a lot of them being brainwashed, and that's why we got to stop it. We got to take the elections back. This man literally works for the government. He works for Donald Trump. And he thinks that the elections can't be trusted. And he's going to fix it. But he is part of the deep state. He hates the deep state, but he's definitely a part of it. And he just looks. I know I hate to judge people on how they look. That's a lie. I love judging people on how they look. And he does look like a conspiracy theorist. I know him when I see him. Okay. So yeah, he hates the government and it can never be correct, but he is the government and he's the only smart one in the room and everybody else is part of the deep state, but he and his secret cabal, not his secret cabal, his secret like team of government infiltrators are going to make everything better. They're going to make everything right again. And then the evil goat demon with red skin who lives in the center of the earth won't be in charge of the government anymore, even though Donald Trump is in charge of the government right now. Like, why doesn't Donald Trump just fire all the Satanists, you know? Awful. I hate it. He's incoherent. And here's the issue with most people. There are no enlightened centrists. Anybody in the center isn't paying attention or is incoherent because of a lack of education. And this is like, I guess, the third week in a row that I've talked about the people in the center. They don't know what's going on. And that's okay. I don't mind if you don't know what's going on. That's fine. But don't work in the government. You can't be in charge of the American government if you don't know what the government does. If you don't understand the basics. And I'm telling you, this man does not understand the basics. But he's got cybersecurity expertise and he's going to lie and he's going to be manipulated, and he's going to manipulate data that he has, that he's stolen, taken. The FBI took shit from the state of Georgia, and they're giving it to this fucking dipshit. And this fucking dipshit is going to misunderstand it, misconstrue it, and lie to you about what it says. And then he's going to go on Fox News and tell you there were major irregularities with the 2020 election. And it will be nonsense. And that upsets me. I think that's all I have for the election stuff. So we're going to switch gears here. If you're in chat, hop in. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. If you're in Twitch chat, the lovely robot lady will read it out loud. Phil says we could have thousands of years of decent living if not for all of that Christo-fascist cult bullshit. Yeah, I know. And I feel you, Phil. The Christo-fascist cult bullshit, it makes everything worse. It really does. But again, that's just another belief structure for controlling how people act. I mean, the conspiracy theorist we were just reading about is in a belief structure that controls how he acts. Worse than nonsense. It will be bullshit. Yeah. So yeah, he's in his own version of a belief structure, and those belief structures are dangerous if they're not grounded on some sort of fact, or if they're taken too seriously. And this guy's taking it way too seriously. Conspiracy theories are silly and fun, and I have a good time goofing around with them. But the deeper you really get, and the more you think it's actually happening, the more dangerous everything is. And the more dangerous that belief structure is. So, what are we going to talk about next? Bad news, everybody. I mean, I've got some bad news to tell everybody. Epstein was mentioned in the Trump files. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files 1 million times. 1 million times they mentioned him. Trump mentioned more than 1 million times in the unredacted Epstein files. We shouldn't even call them the Epstein files anymore. They're the Trump files. Epstein might have been mentioned fewer times than Donald Trump was in the Epstein files. Raskin said the document in the files also undermines Trump's claim that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Of course it does, because he lies constantly. Donald Trump lies every day. President Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed that he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, but his name reportedly appears in the unredacted files at least 1 million times. The clear contradiction is what Trump has claimed about his involvement with child sex trafficker. Raskin has also told the press that he found direct evidence undermining Trump's claim that he barred Epstein from staying at Mar-a-Lago Club in Florida. Trump has maintained that he banned Epstein when he was continually poaching staff from the spa, including a 16-year-old Virginia Giffray, and exposing himself to employees. However, Raskin said there's a document within the file saying that Trump never banned him, according to a 2009 email exchange between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. In the conversation, Epstein told Maxwell of a conversation he had with his lawyers who spoke with Trump. Trump is paraphrased as quoting, saying, "No, Jeffrey Epstein was not a member of Mar-a-Lago, but he was a guest at Mar-a-Lago, and no, we never asked him to leave." So he's lying about that too, because Donnie lies all the time. That's just what he does. Let's see. The other important stuff. This is what a cover-up looks like. Yeah, obviously, that's what he's going to say. The DOJ is giving members of Congress just 4 computers in a satellite office to read the unredacted Epstein files. So remember those 4 computers. That's going to pop up here in just a few minutes. 3 million documents, working 40 hours a week on nothing else but this. It would take more than 7 years for the 217 members who signed the House discharge position to read just the documents they decided to release. Okay, so remember that the 4 computers, that's going to pop up here in a few minutes. That's part of a little bit of a conspiracy as well. So the 4 computers, just remember that. Let's see. Jeremy Raskin accuses DOJ cover-up after viewing unredacted Epstein files. Ranking members of the House Judiciary Committee said mysterious redactions in files obscured names of abusers. So the people who did the abusing are being covered up and hidden, while the all of the victims, their names and identities are well known. There's a puppy dog underneath my feet, and he's gonna be on. If he plays underneath my feet, he gets to be on the stream. Come here. Come here. It's Bobo. Hi, Bo. Say hello to the people, Bobo. Hi, Bobo. Are you in the Epstein files? He probably is. But he's a victim too. He was used to lure children into a van. So he was also kind of a victim there. So it's bad news. Crystallized in my brain last night. Trump is of the same characters, Epstein brothers and predation. Yeah, absolutely. They are. There is a class of people. It's the Epstein class. And Donnie's one of them. Bill Clinton was one of them. They're the Epstein class. They are higher than normal people. They have ties to the government. They have ties to spies. And that's just what they do here. And they can't be held responsible because the branch of the government that holds people responsible works for the president. That's why nobody's being held responsible. That's why there are no punishments. That's why there's no enforcement of the law. Law enforcement belongs to the executive branch. The executive branch is Donald Trump right now. So there is no way to hold him responsible. You can't. It's impossible. You hire a crook to run the police won't fight crime anymore. They'll just do more crime for that crook. It's a gang mentality, you know. Let's keep looking at the news because we got a lot to go through. What do we got? Dr. Oz, the guy who's telling you not to get your measles vaccine, which you should get. YouTube, don't fucking demonetize me. Don't kick me the fuck out of here. You should get your measles vaccinations. Dr. Oz thinks you shouldn't because he's a piece of shit. Emailed Jeffrey Epstein in January of 2016. He was talking to Epstein. God damn, Dr. Oz. Also a member of the Epstein class. Also friends with RFK Jr., who's also in the Epstein class. There's a whole class of guys that do whatever they want because they were born into money and they know they can get away with it because they have ties and friends who are higher up in the government. So Dr. Oz is one of them. He's in the Epstein stuff. It's redacted. This is this. And he's inviting old Jeffrey to his Valentine's Day bash in 2016. So he's inviting Jeffrey Epstein to go places with him. He's like, hey, Jeffrey Epstein, would you like to come to my house and play? Says Dr. Oz in 2016 when everybody knew who Jeffrey Epstein was and what he was. And that brings up the question that I've talked about several times, but it always kind of seems to me that I need to say it again. How did this happen? Why did the Epstein class existed? How did it exist? Why is it there? And why did so many people allow it to happen? Bill Clinton benefited from it, but couldn't George W. Bush have shut it down? He could have, but he didn't. Obama could have shut it down. Obama never went to that island. He could have tarred and feathered every damn Republican for the rest of eternity, with tying them to Jeffrey Epstein. But he didn't. Neither did Joe Biden. Neither did Trump the first time. And neither is Trump the second time. Trump's not, Pam Bondi's not going after the people in those Epstein files. No, she's not going after them at all. Because there is one last big shoe to drop. There's one big mic drop moment that most people haven't figured out yet. And I'll tell it to you. So glad you're here. Jeffrey Epstein was a spy. You don't kill spies when you find them. You pay them for information. That's what you do with spies. The KGB paid Jeffrey Epstein for dirt, for compromat, for pictures, for videos, for bad news about people they didn't like. The Chinese CIA version of the CIA paid him for information. If they didn't, they would have if they could have. The Israeli government paid Jeffrey Epstein for dirt. The American FBI paid Jeffrey Epstein for dirt, for lascivious pictures, for compromising pictures of people that they wanted to put up for crime. They wanted to blackmail. The CIA of America paid Jeffrey Epstein for compromat, for information, because he is a spy. They went to him and said, what have you got on this guy? Here's some money. And he gave it to them. Now, where does the CIA get its money? American taxpayers. Where does the FBI get their money? American Treasury, filled by the taxpayers. That is why this is a conspiracy. That is why there is so much redacted. That is why that's that last bit that hasn't come out to most people. Most people haven't put this part together yet. American taxpayers paid Jeffrey Epstein. Your tax dollars went to him. My tax dollars went to him to help him buy that island. And the FBI knew what he was going to do on that island. And they allowed it because they thought maybe he'll get compromising photos of somebody we don't want, like somebody we need to blackmail, somebody we need to throw in jail. We'll go there and we will have the evidence. He was an employee of the American State Department, secondhand, not specifically. He wasn't directly on the payroll, but we were paying him to do that. We were paying him and looking the other way from all the crimes that he did, so that when the people came in there, we could maybe, if we needed to, prosecute them, pay Jeffrey for the evidence, then have the evidence, use it against them in an election, in blackmail, threaten them with it, and tell everybody that we're going to ruin their career if we let this out. And they did it with your money. They did it with my money. That is the big thing that nobody's putting together yet. That's the next big thing that a lot of people haven't figured out yet. Eugenics doctor Oz Epstein, they want more death attrition. Yeah, and Epstein was interested in some of that the geneticist stuff. He did meet with a bunch of scientists because he's a lunatic and wanted like more of himself throughout the world. And so he did do some weird shit with that. But yeah, the big show, the big thing is that when everybody kind of figures that out, being a leftist, you get to be ahead of the game a little bit sometimes. The left wing was ahead of the Iraq war. I mean, back when the Iraq war was popping off in 2003, it was the left wing people who said, this is not going to work. This is not going to go well. We should not do this. It's going to be a giant jumblefuck. And it sure was. It was the left wing that told you Donald Trump was going to be a fascist. And here he is doing his fascism stuff. I told you years ago, I said that Donald Trump was going to hire the people at Jan 6th to become the new Gestapo. And that has happened. The people, we're going to watch a video here in just a minute of somebody who was at the Jan 6th riot talking about hurting police officers. And he works for ICE now, and he is in Minneapolis hurting people today. I said it years ago. And so what happens is the people on the left, generally ahead of the game. They know what's coming. They can think beyond tomorrow and see what's probably going to come around the bend. So that's what's coming around the bend, is all the American people are going to realize, wait a minute, our FBI paid Jeffrey Epstein, knew what he was doing all along, and let him do it. And where did they get that money? My taxes. That's coming. So that is why the government has been so hush-hush about it. By the time Obama took over, we'd already been paying Jeffrey Epstein. And he couldn't come out and say, hey, listen, the FBI that I need to work for me is paying Jeffrey Epstein. They would revolt over him. They would revolt over it. Excuse me. They would scream about him. They would shut his entire administration down. And the FBI would quit in waves, and they would abandon everything, and they wouldn't investigate. And you wouldn't be able to investigate them and put them on trial because you need evidence in a trial, and that evidence would have to be gathered by the FBI. And they already hate you. It's a scam. But everything is. Let's continue on with the big show that happened today. Not this, but this is funny. We're going to put this toward the end. We're going to move that one to the end. Okay. Pam Bondi was trying to defend Donald Trump today, and she did such a bad job. Let's watch her do a bad job.
There was one redaction out of over 4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. Yeah. I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And if they could maintain their composure. You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in.
You're obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome. All of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump, you all should be apologizing. You sit here.
The impeachments of Donald Trump were entirely warranted.
And you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And
you can hear the people laughing at her.
NASDAQ smashing records.
Do you think that excuse works anywhere else? Do you think like that works with other arguments? Like, Your Honor, it's true. I was, in fact, speeding through that elementary school speed zone. I was going 60 miles an hour in a 25. Absolutely true. But have you stopped to consider that the Dow just passed 50,000? Can't be mad at me. You can't find me guilty. I know. I'm late for work again. But listen, boss, man, the Dow just passed 50,000. Maybe it'll work with my wife. Baby, please, listen, calm down. Okay, yes, it's true. I lost our son's college fund in a crypto rug pull. But the Dow is above 50,000 right now. Don't you know how great that is? You got nothing to complain about. Everything is fine. Nothing is fucked. Let's keep listening to her.
Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about.
Not the crimes that the president committed. Not the crimes that the president obviously, blatantly committed. We shouldn't talk about that. Your 401k is going up, okay? That's what's important. And that's pretty much like the whole thing. It's 5 hours long. You don't want to watch the whole damn thing. But I've got some more highlights here. These are pretty good.
General Bondi, 6 days ago, you posted online, quote, "If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you," end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It's about 30 seconds, and I'll ask you a couple questions about it.
You guys are disgusting, man. Hey, you guys are disgusting. I'm former law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it because you're chasing your pension, right? Your pension, your retirement, right? That's what runs your life, your retirement. The sad thing is they're not even going to get their pension because it's going to be worthless. And shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah. Fuck that. Yeah.
Kill him, he said. That Jan 6 rider said kill him to the police.
Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling "kill him" at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of Justice.
He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling, "Kill him," at police officers, right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was.
Right. President Trump, the crime president, pardoned him. You see, this is why we can't elect criminals to run the cops. It's a bad plan. It's a bad idea. Donald Trump is a criminal. And so when you do a crime for him, he pardons you and then gives you a job working for the Gestapo, which is what that guy does now.
He was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling, "Kill him," at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the chief law enforcement officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did. But in original.
So all of these are. This is not a trial. This is a house. This is a House hearing. In case you don't know how the government works, where usually people just get cool sound bites, and that's what they're there for. Pam Bondi is there to pop off and make cool videos for Fox News, and then that guy is a Democrat senator or a Democrat House member who is here to get cool video clips for his next election. And then the Republicans who say nice things about Pam Bondi are there to get cool clips of them defending Donald Trump. This is all politics. This is theater. I recognize that, and you recognize that, and everybody needs to know that this is definitely theater. But the important part is what it actually means and how this goes forward to understand how the government functions. This is normal government function, and I'm fine with it being a little bit theatrical because the human beings involved need to be explained things in a way that they can understand. All politics are based on feelings, and what these people in this room are trying to do is give the people the feelings. This guy is trying to make you feel like Pam Bondi is a liar and hiring criminals, because she is. And Pam Bondi is trying to make you feel like Donald Trump is exceptional and special and not a bad guy, but he is in fact the victim of a deep state conspiracy. She needs you to feel that. She's got no evidence to back it up, but she needs you to feel it. So that's what all of these are. So if they seem theatrical and wild and loud, then that's because they're supposed to be. Now, this is Lou. He does a fantastic job. This was a really good one, too.
I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's the video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey
That's a good
Epstein?
question.
This is so.
Did you see that pause? God damn, that was a long pause. That's too long. Pam, you can't pause that long.
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime.
She didn't say no. The question Lou asked her, were there underage people at these parties? And she paused for way too long and then said Donald Trump is the greatest president. and there's no evidence that he committed a crime. That's not a no. That's not a no, there were not any underage people at these parties. She didn't say no because she doesn't want to lie under oath, but Ted Lieu is going to accuse her of it here in just a second. Anyway, so let's keep on with that thing.
Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock.
Stop
the clock.
The legislation. This is
That's absolute horseshit too. He tried his ass off to stop that legislation from being passed. The only reason he signed it is because it passed through the House and the Senate. Unanimously. He didn't want this shit to come out. Donnie does not want this shit to come out, and she just said that he brought it out. He didn't. He told her to bury that shit, and she tried for a year to bury that shit.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath.
He's holding his own. This is great.
And this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was gonna stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
CheapViewersStreamBoo.com.
She later had her head
Remove
blown
the
off,
space
and the officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
And as usual, she deflects and lies and tries to dodge. Bringing up the height of the Dow. The Dow's 50,000. Haven't you thought about that? So I am playing tug of war with Bobo right now. So he will not leave me alone. So we're playing with the dog. I can do a politics stream and play with a puppy dog at the same time. Quite talented. Thank you. If you think I am talented, give the stream a like, press the thumbs up, tell somebody about it. Anyway, only half of the documents have been released, and she's told you that's all you're going to get. That's not what the law passed said. She talked about the law that it got passed and Donald Trump signed it. That said all the documents were to be released, not half. And the half that we did get are half redacted. So we really only got a quarter of them. She calls Donald Trump the most transparent president ever, and that's a fucking joke. She doesn't know what the word means. She'll just lie right to your face. And then she'll bring up inconvenient facts. And if you have blaming you and saying you have Trump derangement syndrome and pointing out redactions, she distracts you with the stock market gains. It's insane. It's like arguing with a teenage girl. It really is. They roll their eyes and they sigh and then they act offended. And then you heard her like mumble under her breath as the guy kept talking. You should keep talking over her. She's not as strong an orator as Donald Trump is. So so you can kind of steamroll her. You can't steamroll Trump. He'll just keep talking and jibber jabbering forever. But yeah, she's like a teenage girl. She's flipping her hair all angrily and rolling her eyes and telling you that she's offended. How you dare accuse me of a crime? Don't you dare accuse me of crime. I can't do her voice. When he then doubles down and accuses her of a crime, it's fantastic. Sorry, I'm late. We're playing Baldur's and we were watching some of the BS. They were both yelling at each other about how open the BS is. Yeah. Thanks for coming, Andy, but I appreciate it. Trump's regime thinks that he pulled off a revolution. We're in year one and old USA is gone. Well, I am feeling kind of optimistic about this. I don't think the people are liking this. I don't think even the Trump fans are happy with what's going down right now. Really don't think that they are. But yeah, she's acting like a fucking teenager. She's got the brain of a child. She really does. Most of the Trump admin has online teenage brains. They're very dumb. They think that everything is an online Twitter beef and Twitter fight. You know, if you call somebody a name on Twitter, if you make up a bunch of lies about somebody on Twitter,
She's doing open perjury under oath.
Absolutely she is. But she doesn't know what that means. She thinks that you're just allowed to tell your opinion to anybody, anytime, while you're under oath. She thinks that the court is where you go to make cool arguments, not measure evidence. She doesn't have evidence. She's got good rhetoric. She's got rhetoric, but not evidence. So when she's in front of these people, she's giving them her shtick, she's giving them her talking points, and they call her on her bullshit. That is why they lose in court. That is why they generally don't want things to go to court. That's why they try and settle ahead of time. Okay, I think Bobo's calming down. Okay, he's sitting down. Okay, my arm is tired. I've been playing with that dog for an hour. Okay. So yeah, they can't win in actual court. Anywhere evidence is required, they tend to lose. They win in the court of public opinion, but that's not the court of the law.
It doesn't matter what she thinks. She has a lawyer with the ear of the Supreme Court. We're about to do Weimar Germany.
Absolutely right, and I think you're right about that. The Supreme Court already gave Donald complete immunity from the law, which doesn't make any kind of goddamn sense. But they did that, and he's pardoning people from Jan 6 riots. He's pardoning the people who are killing innocent American citizens in Minnesota. He's going to pardon them, and he's going to pardon anybody who, even if the DOJ brought up charges on somebody for the Epstein stuff, and they're not going to. They will not do that. No, they will not. Because that would lead to investigation, that would lead to discovery, and that would lead to everyone finding out that one big secret that I discussed earlier in the stream. You missed it, any of it, but the one big secret, you might have heard me talk about it before, is that the FBI and the CIA were also paying Jeffrey Epstein for dirt on politicians, on wealthy businessmen, on important people. And where does the FBI get its money? American taxpayers. That's the thing that nobody's talking about yet, but soon the regular people will come to recognize and realize, wait a minute, where'd Jeffrey Epstein get this money? The FBI gave it to him? Oh, where'd the FBI get their money? My taxes I paid for Jeffrey Epstein's island, and the FBI knew what he was doing there. We got to square up with them. Puffy gamer nips, let the motherfuckers know your numbers when we do boom in the lake because I'm drunk as fuck. Can you tell? Okay. I'm glad you brought the Puffy gamer nips. That's fine. That's cool. I love it when you're feisty. All right. Let's keep going with the clips because there are a lot of them. This thing was like 5 hours long. I do not suggest anybody watch it, but it was just filled with lots of good stuff. Here's another from Lou.
You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rise.
That's the same, the one we had earlier. You should interview these witnesses immediately. She's not going to do that. Let's see. Oh, hey, look. So remember earlier, about 20 minutes ago?
I'll throw my Puffy gamer nips all day for my homies.
Well, thank you. I think. Remember when I said the 4 computers or whatever they had? They had 4 computers, right? So they had 4 computers to look at. The 4 computers had their search history pulled. So, Jayapal Pramila Jayapal, that's her name, Pramila Jayapal. She is in the house. She went to one of those 4 computers, and these are the things that she searched. Pam Bondi spied on them and knows what they searched so that she could then search it, debunk it, and have a good argument in front of the cameras. This is what Pramila Jayapal searched. She searched this number. New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 19 years old. This number, thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. Thank you for the fun night. The littlest girl was a little bit naughty, blah, blah, blah. 3 good young girl, but we was so tired. I will cover up this week. I'll cover up this week. Meet this one, not the beauty queen, but we both likes her a lot. Apparently this was Jar Jar Binks. I found at least 3 good young girl, but I was so tired. Misa, meet this one. She's a not beauty queen. Misa likes her a lot. Maybe. Epstein victim list all redacted. Love the torture video. Child exploitation and human trafficking task force PowerPoint on the Epstein trafficking. This is what Jayapal searched for. The 4 computers are being bugged. The 4 computers are bugged. Bondi knows what you type into them and what you search for if you're a member of Congress. That's spying on them so that she can debate you with facts and logic and destroy you with facts and logic at this hearing. This has happened before. This was the CIA director apologizes for improper conduct of agency staff. This is an 11-year-old article, so this is not new. This is 11 years ago. 11 damn years ago. The CIA director was spying on the Congress. The director of the CIA, John Brennan, issued an extraordinary apology to leaders of the U.S. Senate and Intelligence Committee on Thursday, conceding that the agency employees spied on committee staff and reversing months of furious public denials. So, spied on the House, the members of the government.
Misa can't read Black AC blocks. Misa ju follow trad baz and fish.
Exactly. Maybe, oh gosh, I wonder, could I replace the lovely robot lady with Jar Jar Binks? Can I and should I? I don't think I should, but can I? I don't know. I'll look into that. That is a problem for another day. But John Brennan was a spy, and he spied on our members of Congress. And you know who doesn't like that? Pam Bondi. She calls for Brennan to be put on trial for spying on Donald Trump. Pam Bondi wants John Brennan. This guy, John Brennan. Pam Bondi wants John Brennan on trial and in jail for spying on people in the government. Pam Bondi is holding spied information during this whole 5-hour thing. And we know it. It's right there. Screaming bloody murder about how Joe Biden couldn't be trusted and they were
John Brown
on
killed
anybody.
slavers.
And she's doing the thing that John Brennan did. She's doing the thing that keeps getting that she's unhappy with. She's doing the thing that she hates, but she's doing it against the liberals, so it's allowed. She doesn't see the irony here. Let's listen to her talk about this.
To release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history.
Only half of them have been released so far. She's not going to release the other half. She calls that transparency, and the half we got is half redacted.
And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein.
And that is also true. She is, again, deflecting, distracting. She's in charge of this now. And she does what conservatives always do, blame the last guy, who was Merrick Garland. And he also ignored the Epstein files. He did. He ignored them. But
I'll
she's
bother
not
you once more.
them.
They are traitors.
Mm-hmm.
Trump and his admin should be hung in front of the White House. Sorry for the flag.
Oh, see, now you're in trouble, any of it. You can't be Fed posting. You can't say stuff about harming people. It's not okay. They should be put on trial. They should be investigated and put on trial. Now, oh yeah, she was saying he's transparent, but only half of it. 70 days late. They're still 70 days past the deadline.
Facts are illegal when the admin is illegal.
I know. They're 70 days late. They've only released half. The half we have is half redacted. So they've only released 25% of it. And she's claiming to be the most transparent ever. She's lying. She's trying to distract you. She's trying to push you off into a different direction. And then she's blaming Merrick Garland. And he did ignore the files. But PM Bondi's actively covering them up. You can piss and moan about Merrick Garland all you want. He ignored it. He didn't touch it. He didn't go anywhere near the damn thing. That's not as bad as actively covering up the crime. He said, that's a spy shit. I'm not touching it. Pam Bondi said, that's some spy shit. Let me cover that shit up so it doesn't hurt Donnie. That's what she's doing. She's much worse than Merrick Garland. So when the conservatives, and they will, the ones in your life, the ones at the Thanksgiving table, your Uncle Ricky, who is going to piss and moan and gripe about Joe Brandon, and fuck Joe Brandon, he's going to tell you, hey, Merrick Garland didn't do anything about the Epstein files. Joe Biden didn't do anything about the Epstein files. True. But I would rather them ignore them than actively cover them up. Now, why did Garland ignore it? Because Jeffrey Epstein has ties to Israel, and Genocide Joe loves Israel. My man, Joe Biden loves Israel more than you've ever loved anyone in your entire life. He loves Israel, and he was not about to let the Epstein files out to find out so that everybody could know that Epstein worked with the Israeli intelligence and was an Israel spy. He couldn't let them know that. That's bad news for Israel. So he didn't do anything about it. And he hired Merrick Garland, who wasn't going to do anything about it because they were using him as a spy. The American government gave him money. Your money. My money. And they're okay with it. He was a spy, but he was our spy. He was doing horrible things, but he videotaped it, and then we got to use it for blackmail. So it's okay. That is what your government has done for the past 20 years. And she is not about to let you know that because it hurts Donnie.
How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow.
They're laughing at you because you're a clown who's dodging questions by pointing at the stock market.
Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked.
She thinks that you're ridiculous. What do you mean? What has the Dow got to do with anything? That's the only important thing that anybody has ever given a shit about in the Trump administration. They don't give a shit about child sexual abuse. They don't care. They don't mind. As long as the Dow goes up, as long as those fucking numbers go up, as long as that stock market ticker keeps going up. I need green up-facing arrows. That's the only thing that matters. They don't care about the law. They don't care about the rules. They don't care about your country. They don't care about your rights, your right to vote, what district you live in. They don't give a shit. Number go up. That is all that matters. She is telling you. Why the fuck are you asking me questions? She says. The numbers are up. Why are you complaining about the child rape island? The numbers are up. Merrick Garland was a coward. He was following Joe's orders. Yeah, he was. The reason Dems didn't release Epstein files is because they're in it and Epstein was an asset. Yeah, he's a spy. The American government paid him money for dirt. That is why the American government is so worried about you finding out, because a lot of people don't know that. They haven't put this piece together yet because nobody told them. But as good leftists, we're always ahead of the game. The leftists are always one step ahead of everyone else, and then we tell everybody what's coming, and they're like, shut the fuck up. What's wrong with you? So let's continue with this tirade.
Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year.
Why is she here? She's supposed to be answering questions about the well-known pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, but she's bragging about the Donald Trump and his amazing
Jim Jordan
prowess.
Protecting his pedophile overlords.
Yes, just like he did when he was a wrestling coach. He covered up sex crimes then too. This is what they do. That's why they're in government, is so that they can have the power to assault people and hurt people and get away with it. That's why they are there. Ugh. What was I was working on a rant about her, but I forget what it was now. She's supposed to work for you. That's the Attorney General of the United States. Her job is not supposed to be do Donnie's dirty work. Do the president's bidding. That is not what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to prosecute criminals who have done crimes to the American people and or the American public. That's what she's supposed to do. Is that what she's doing? Has anybody ever seen her do that? I haven't. I've never seen her do that. Last time I noticed her, she was bragging about catching the bomber, the Jan 6 bomber, who was preemptively pardoned by Donald Trump and a fan of Donald Trump and is never going to be indicted. She was chasing around Democrats to indict for telling the troops not to follow illegal orders. That's the last thing she was doing, and she lost at that. Here we go. Senator Mark Kelly, after a grand jury rejected Trump administration attempt to prosecute Kelly and other Democrats. He says, they tried to have us thrown in jail because we said something they didn't like. This is straight from the authoritarian playbook. Now, what did Mr. Senator Mark Kelly do? He read the law. That's it. He read it. He didn't change it. He didn't tell you what to do with it. He told you what the law is. And when he did that, they were like, how dare you say that? Because the conservatives do not know what the law is. I'm convinced that if you read the Fourth Amendment to most conservatives, they would call you a dirty commie and try and get rid of you and fire you and bring you up for a trial for inventing some sort of crazy cockamamie nonsense for witchcraft. They might bring you up for witchcraft. If you read the Fourth Amendment to a conservative, they scream at you and say, it's a witch, you're a witch, and they try and burn you. That's what happens. And that's what happened with Mark Kelly. He told the troops, he didn't even tell the troops, he talked into a fucking camera and said, hey, if you're given an illegal order, you don't have to follow it. That's the law. That's actually law. It's like saying you have to stop at a red light. And they fucking lost their shit because they don't like stopping at red lights. And you can't tell the troops to not follow illegal orders, even though that's what's written in the law and that's the part of the oath that they take. You can't tell them that because then they'll know. And then they'll think maybe the president has given me illegal orders. because he does often. And we're worried that he's going to do it more often. The biblical comparison to her is Satan, by the way. Yeah, absolutely. Satan is supposed to be the lawyer for the damned. Yeah, but in the modern religion, Satan is a bad person advocating for a bad. Yeah, he's just the red-skinned goat devil that lives in the middle center of the earth, right? So yeah, that's what Pam Bondi does. She sucks at her job, and she is doing everything poorly, everything bad. She's supposed to work for you. She's supposed to defend you and your country, but she is not. She is defending Donald Trump, and Donald Trump thinks he is the country. He thinks he is America. And anybody who disagrees with him is disagreeing with America, obviously. So in her warped brain, by defending Donald Trump, aka America, she is doing her job, and it makes me sick.
I think that we all saw today the performance that she had. She was screaming, thrashing, and I think it is because she knows that she is implicated in a massive cover-up to protect a powerful ring of pedophiles through the redactions of the names of perpetrators, the holding of 3 million files, the moving of the unexplained moving of Ghislaine Maxwell into a new cushy facility. All of these things are what she personally oversaw, and that's before even digging into whatever questions may arise from her history in Florida. And I think that her thrashing and her very erratic performance today pointed to the fact that there are real questions that point to the DOJ under her leadership, and her leadership specifically, as well as her role in all of this.
She is hired by a criminal to run the police. Donald Trump is a criminal. He hired her to run the federal cops. And she is running them in a way to avoid ever looking at Donald Trump, the criminal. And that's the entire reason we shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. He is a criminal. Here's Massey. Let's see what he has to say.
I provided the evidence today that shows that his statements were false under oath. Kash Patel's statements were false. They are in possession. They were in possession at the time, and they're still in possession of evidence that other men participated in the sex trafficking.
Attorney General Bondi didn't seem to directly answer that question. What do you make of what she did say?
She didn't answer anything. She came here just ready to talk about the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, which seems kind of crazy to me.
Because that's all she's got is deflection and distraction. And I know that word gets brought up a lot, distraction. Even, what's his name? Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, that's a distraction. Don't get distracted. Okay. The word distraction is in the news constantly, and it is kind of correct. Pam Bondi today tried to distract from the Epstein files with stock numbers. Instead of answering the questions that she was asked, she complained about sanctuary cities. You know, she said, oh, well, you can't, I didn't show this one, but she was yelling at the representative from California about homelessness. She's like, well, you can't ask me about what the DHS is doing. You have homeless in your city. Like, it's insane. It doesn't make any damn sense. Instead of helping Congress to understand the actions and the reasonings of the DOJ, which is why she's there, they're supposed to ask her questions and she's supposed to explain what she's doing to them. Instead of that, she brought up Irina Zarutsky, the blonde lady who got murdered in a subway, because that's a distraction that works on stupid, gullible Republicans. The Trump admin has no plans for a functioning government. They only know how to break things and make social media posts. That's all they got. That's their only skill. And if anyone in the press asks them about the thing that they just broke, they distract it with some other issue. Today, when it was with the job numbers, well, if the job numbers are bad today, and they're bad, they're just not as bad as we thought they would be. And so today, when the job numbers are bad, they'll distract that by complaints about immigration and ICE. And then when the press asks them about ICE, they'll point to Venezuela to distract us. And then when you ask them about Venezuela, they'll say something fentanyl and boats. But when you ask them about the fentanyl, they'll say, oh, we can't talk about that because it's tied to healthcare. And then when you ask about healthcare, they'll say, no, we can't talk about that. We've got all this gerrymandering stuff to go on. And then if you want to yell at them about gerrymandering, they'll say that it can't be fixed because the 2020 election was rigged. And they can't talk about the 2020 election being rigged because that's just deflecting from the Epstein files. And it goes forever and ever and eternally in a circle. And it never ends. When Trump is out of power, he gets to cry and whine and complain about whatever he wants. But being in charge means he's actually responsible for how this country operates. Donnie busting out a banger of a tweet back in 2022 was all he had to do. But now he and his administration have to be questioned about everything they do. And they're hampered by congressional inquiries, and they have to get laws passed. And that's way harder than just knocking out an awesome little tweet that you worked on for a few minutes. That's way more difficult. And they don't like it. They're not functional government people. They don't put together plans to make the government work. They want the government to fail. They want the government to hurt the people that they don't like, and that is all. That is what they want. That is what PM Bondi wants the government to do. Hurt the people she doesn't like. She doesn't like Democrats, so she goes after Mark Kelly. She doesn't like immigrants, so she goes after them, whether they're here legally or not. Doesn't matter. She doesn't care what the law says. She wants the government to hurt the people that she doesn't like. And to cap off, let's look at the fun one. The U.S. military shot down a party balloon near El Paso after drone suspicion. So let's hear what she has to say, and then we'll tell you the actual truth.
Citizens and law enforcement officers have both been endangered by reckless rhetoric. We have made dozens of arrests.
The words that the left says are dangerous, but the bullets of ICE are justified.
In and around Minneapolis so far, and many of them could have been avoided by simple compliance with federal law. Of course, our efforts reach beyond our urban centers. We are striking crucial blows against terrorist organizations such as MS-13, TDA, the Sinaloa Cartel, and Antifa.
Exaggerate it all. She will tell you that MS-13 has 70 billion members, and they're around every street corner, and they're going to murder you the minute you walk outside your door. TDA is got 80 billion members, and they are living under your bed right now. The Sinaloa Cartel is currently trafficking fentanyl through your kitchen. And Antifa, worst of all, Antifa, 100 billion members in Antifa, and they will lie to you and steal your election.
And as we sit here, I think you've seen the news this morning. The news is reporting that cartel drones are being shot down by our military. That's what we all should care about right now, protecting America.
They were not drones, they were balloons, party balloons. The U.S. military shot down party balloons near El Paso after drone suspicion. So they saw some balloons, didn't know what they were, fired lasers at them, drone-killing lasers. And then the FAA freaked the fuck out and closed the airspace and canceled all their flights in El Paso. The FAA canceled the flights for the airport because all of a sudden there's drone-killing lasers flying around in the air. Drone-killing lasers, folks. And she's going to lie to you and tell you, this is the facts as they're being reported. I know the facts could be wrong, but the reporting at the moment says it's a party balloon. and everybody overreacted, but you're going to hear about this for years, I think. I think years later, she will still tell you that this was a drone that was shot down. This is a Sinaloa cartel super drone that was carrying 98 pounds of fentanyl, and that's enough to kill every single human being in America. That's what she's going to tell you. And it's not true. Because she doesn't care what's true. She wants to hurt the people she doesn't like. And if you call her a liar, if you get in front of her and tell her that she's wrong, she doesn't like you.
It's the beginning of manufactured consent to invade Mexico.
I know. And guess what? Have you ever read that book, any of it? You want to be entirely doomer? I know you're already pretty miserable. But Manufactured Consent, remember who wrote that book? Noam Chomsky. He's in the Epstein files. But that's it for me tonight. I appreciate everybody coming in. Thanks for coming in, any of it. Thanks for being here, Philip. And Bisky, I know you probably left already, but that's okay. I like you. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for saying hi.
Jesus, I was thinking of Brave New World, but you're right.
Yeah, it was Chomsky's book is called Manufacturing Consent. I'm going to double check. Manufacturing Consent. Doop, 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 doop. Yeah, here we go. Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky. And he's in the Epstein files too. Great. There's no winning with this. Miserable. There's no winning. There really isn't. Everybody's got to go. Like let's all. I don't know. How do we make a better world? I don't know. Everybody starts off in jail, and you have to prove that you're not guilty to get out before you're allowed to enter society. I don't know. Everybody's born in prison, and you have to earn your way out by being a good person. Then you're allowed to leave and start a society. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, and there's no way to win. So that was it for me. Thanks everybody for coming. Wednesdays are always kind of slow, so I appreciate it.
Good night, Waldo. Fingies crossed that all the bad people will fall over dead.
We can hope. You're allowed to hope. So yeah, if you type it in as a hope, you can't get in trouble. Thanks for coming.
It could happen.
It could happen. Maybe it will. We hope it does. So that's it for tonight. Thanks for coming. I'm going to be back on Saturday morning unless the Gestapo kicks in my door and drags me off to the gulag, which they might, because Pam Bondi is in charge of the Gestapo. And she doesn't like me. If she's even, I'm sure she's a fan. She watches the show constantly. She sends me hate mail through YouTube. What's the thing? The YouTube
Closer
chat.
than ever, baby. Come after us.
All right, I'm gonna go before you get